isolation. And coaching is certainly not easy. It requires a considerable investment of time and energy to help another learn and develop. It's about building intense, development-focused relationships and engaging in risky, performance-changing conversations. Doesn't that sound exciting? So that is really a big part of what I learned. I'm going to go on to give you a couple more tips. Number 2, hang on longer than you feel like you should. Hang on longer than you feel like you should. And you know the moment in a phone conversation or a live conversation where it feels like it's coming to an end. You're kind of wrapping it up. And you just have that natural feeling, so you say some closing remarks and then the conversation is over. But you want to hang on longer than that. And I don't know at what point that I started doing that or why I started doing that, but I started hanging on longer. And my best, most effective and real conversations that are actually effective coaching happened after that feeling came. So guys, this could be after 30, 45 minutes of talking, and then the real coaching starts. So it's a huge investment of time, but so worth it. Because haven't we all had people in our lives who have affected us and changed us, whether it's teachers, coaches, directors, national sales directors. We've all had that person that by being with them and taking their advice and learning from them, it has changed us. And so that's what we want to do with our consultants. So my best conversations happened after that feeling. And so when you start having that feeling, just ask another question. Dig a little bit deeper. Spend a little bit more time. Hang on a little bit longer. We often cut it too short. Another thing I learned is to let her be right. Let her be right. Let's quit making consultants wrong all the time. That is a direct quote from Sean Key. Let's quit making our consultants wrong all the time. So kind of a silly example, say she wants to do a power start, and that's her goal. And so then you might ask, okay, what is the daily activity that will help you reach that goal? That might be the follow-up question. And again, you don't tell them. You don't tell them what they need to do. You ask them, what do you need to do to accomplish this? So she might say, okay, 2 calls a day. Obviously the wrong answer. That's not going to get her there, but that's okay. Let her go try it. Let her go try to do 2 calls a day and see if that results in a power start, and let her come back to you and find out that it was wrong and seek more advice. I think it's better in the long run to just let them be right with their answer and go see if it works and come back to you, so they'll have more ownership and take more responsibility, and they feel like they can do the business without you. When you can coach your consultants effectively, I think it results in smarter consultants who learn to work for themselves, who are more consistent, who are more aware of how they're thinking, they're more aware of their thoughts, and they learn to problem solve. They learn to be their own coach. You know what Ari was saying? I forget when. You learn to coach yourself. Like when you come to that fork in the road, you got to have a conversation going on with you that you can be your own best coach to take the right turn. So when you're effectively coaching with them, they learn to coach themselves in the process. And they end up being smarter consultants who are motivated to change. Okay, next point. Let's talk about, for one-on-one coaching, let's talk about tough conversations. And in the book Unleashed, the author calls them dangerous or risky conversations. And now I believe these should only happen with key people who want leadership. There is no reason to have a dangerous conversation with a hobby-level consultant or even usually a new consultant. You're just not going to go there with her. But a consultant who wants leadership, you're going to have a dangerous conversation with her. And are you guys so warm in here? Okay, can we get anyone to, I'm starting to sweat. I see everyone falling asleep and fanning themselves. So hopefully she's going to get the air down. So let's keep going with tough conversations. Are they taking care of it for us?
There's nobody out there. Right?
No.
To open that other door.
Okay. Is there anyone in the hallway who could help us? Okay.
It's been every time we've been in here. Okay. That's why
we've been hot all weekend. Okay. Okay, let's just keep going then. Tough conversations. I believe these should only happen with key people. You will probably be sweating, like you are now, when you have these conversations. Like when I've had the tough conversations, I'm literally sweating, and my hands are kind of shaking, my voice is kind of shaking, because you're digging in there, and it's ugly sometimes, and it's tough. And you know it's hard on her. You guys, we're both going through that growth and development process. So it's okay if you're nervous and if you're sweating. That means you're making progress. Of course, it should never happen in a text or an email. Emotions should never be communicated through text or email, always live and in person. Should never happen in the heat of the moment. If she has super high emotions or you do, let it wait a day or two, because you're not always effective when emotions are super high. But I always try to think of an effective question to reveal her blind spot, okay? An effective question to reveal her blind spot. And that's what we're there. We're there to like peel back the onion, peel back the blind spots so she can reach her full potential. Another mindset that is very important when coaching is that she's got it all inside of her. She's got the potential in there. It's not something we give her. We don't like give her her potential. Mary Kay doesn't give her her potential. Her potential doesn't come in her starter kit. It's in there. We just unveil it so that it comes out and so that she can use that potential. So you want to think of an effective question to reveal the blind spot. 2 phrases I will often start with when starting a tough conversation or initiating a tough conversation. Number 1 is, and this is kind of like maybe a more lighter conversation. If there were something I felt was holding you back, would you want to know about it and talk through it? So if there was something I felt like might hold you back from your success, would you want to know about it and kind of talk through it? And then from there, you don't go to tell her her problem. You ask her a question that will reveal it. Okay, so you ask the question, and if she's like yes, then you kind of ask another question. So you're not ever telling her her problems. Another one I will often start a tough conversation with is, I've learned from my senior national, Pam Shaw, that a friend loves you where you're at, but a mentor won't leave you where you're at. A friend loves you where you're at, but a mentor won't leave you where you're at. And I think when you say that, when you're about to have a tough conversation, it just kind of brings down her walls. A friend loves you where you're at, but a mentor will never leave you where you're at. And so I see so much in you, I see so much potential in you, and then you ask the question that initiates the conversation about the blind spot. So let's go through some scenarios that you could potentially have that might result in tough conversations. I mean, we could spend all day here, but I just picked a few that can kind of often come up. You have a consultant who, she's a leader in your unit, but her emotions constantly run her business. She's up or she's down. She's on or she's off. She's hot or she's cold. Has anybody ever had a consultant? Okay. Aren't we sometimes like that? So here's a question I might probably ask her. Depending on her personality, and it's different for every single person. Coaching is not just this perfect little black and white thing. It's so different for each person, but might be a question I would ask. What could you do right now to get yourself back on track emotionally? What could you do right now to get yourself back on track emotionally? So what does that imply? It implies that she's not on track and that she needs to get back on track, like right now. But she needs to make a decision about getting back on track. And I often coach consultants and directors about having tools in their tool belt. Tools in their tool belt to get them back on course. And so then I would train on, even music. Music is powerful, gets us in a better emotional state. Affirmations, exercise, prayer, scripture, a good book, conversation with a mentor, and learning to coach themselves. Again, what Ari said, teaching them to have conversations with themselves so in those crossroads they can make the best decision and not wander in the desert. So that would be a question I would ask for somebody who's on and off emotionally. Another scenario. A consultant or director who plays hide and seek. Have you ever had one? So sometimes she's hiding and sometimes she's seeking. You're trying to connect with her because you want to support her, but she falls off the face of the earth, nowhere to be found. But then when she wants you, she will stalk you until you answer her because it's the most urgent thing in the entire world. And that's not fair. You don't want a unit of leaders who think that's okay to play hide and seek, because it's not fair. It's not fair in that relationship. So I'm going to talk about maybe some conversations to have. This might be something I would say. I've noticed that when you feel good about your business, or when you don't feel so hot about your business, you kind of fall off the face of the earth and pull away and disconnect. What could be a more helpful response when you're not feeling so great about your business? What could be a more helpful response? So I'm implying that that is not helpful for her, or for our relationship, and there's something else she can do when she's not feeling so great about her business. Another thing I would say is, you know what, girl? I will always call you back because I love you and I respect you and I respect your time. And I just want to ask that you would do the same for me. So even if you don't feel like talking, send me a quick text and say, hey, I don't feel like talking. We can connect next week. Because they don't have to talk to you. And that's not the point, is that they always respond and want to talk. But at least play ball and don't play hide and seek. Another situation, current job is getting in the way, or she's using that as an excuse to get in her way. So that's pretty easy. You break out a weekly plan sheet, go through it with her. A question I might ask is, are you willing? Are you willing? Because we all know there's a way. There's a way to fit it in, and there's a way to work it. Are you willing to fit Mary Kay into these spaces in your schedule? Another situation, she wants to move up, but her actions do not follow her words. Here's something I might say. You know what, you're telling me one thing but not following through. Is there a reason you're not following through on this goal? Let's talk about it. Is there a reason you're not following through on this goal? Let's talk about it. Another question might be, you know, what has caused your excuses to grow stronger than your goals? What has caused your excuses to grow stronger than your dreams, your why, your goal, your vision? And so do you see how that would initiate conversation? And then from there, you continue with follow-up questions, but it's always the first one that is usually the tough one. Once you can initiate that conversation, you can guide her through questions throughout the rest of it. Also, I think pauses are okay. You know, sometimes we feel like we want to say the right thing right away and not have a pause, and we want to have the right answer. Sometimes I'm just like silent, and I'm thinking it through, and that's okay. Don't feel like you have to talk right away. Sometimes I say, you know what, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You know, talk to me more about it. So again, no pressure to always have the right answers. It's not about that. She might be feeling, another situation might be feeling stuck or frustrated. So I would just ask, what is most frustrating about your business right now? So that initiates the conversation. Doesn't have a sense of urgency. And we need them to have a sense of urgency about their business. So I might say, you know what, in my experience, when we don't work with urgency, we often never reach the goal. So how could you work with more urgency in your business right now? So you're not telling her to work with more urgency. You're asking her how she could implement things that could help her to move a little bit quicker. Okay, somebody not getting results. And that's a tough one because they're working it. You know, their actions are following their words. They want the business and they're working it, they're doing the work, but they're not getting results that they need to. And so here's a conversation I would have. I think there's usually 4 main reasons, and there's more than 4, but there's 4 main ones that I think people don't get results for these 4 things. So I would go through these 4 with her. Hasn't been enough time to see the numbers play out. Sometimes they think if they do a Power Start 1 month, they should see mountains moving in their business. But obviously it takes that time. This business works in a 90-day cycle, so it takes that time to see the numbers play out. Number 2, she may need to master a skill. She may be lacking a crucial skill that is preventing her from moving up. So just, you know, a skincare class skill, even people skills. She might need to learn some more people skills to attract people to her. Number 3, not working with her target market. It is hard to build a business of only college students in your customer base. College students are great, and they're a great part of your customer base, but if they're only working with maybe 18, 19, 20-year-olds, she's not going to see the results that she could see. And then number 4, it could be a mindset issue or a belief issue. She doesn't believe in herself. She doesn't believe in the company. She doesn't believe she can make money, something like that. So I will go through those 4 things, and then I'll ask, like, do you feel like one of these things might be holding you back from getting results? Because you want her to identify it instead of saying, oh, Mary Kay doesn't work. I'm working it, but I'm not getting results, and Mary Kay doesn't work. As leaders, we always want to discern, is she really ready right now? We want so badly for our people to be those ready right now women, ready to move up and be leaders, but you want to always ask yourself, is she really ready right now, and is this the right goal for her? Some more effective questions you could ask, and you guys know these, so I'm going to run through these really quick. You know the questions to ask, but it could be, what would you like to accomplish? I'm like going to take my jacket off. Sorry, Dad. Yeah. Maybe I'll keep it on. What would you like to accomplish? Why do you want to be a director? What's your time frame? Are you willing to do the work it takes? How can I support you? How do you plan on holding yourself accountable? That's something else I learned from a business coach. Because what do we normally ask? How can I hold you accountable? But who is the only person that can hold you accountable? It is you. Yeah, we are the only person that can hold ourselves accountable. Yes, we have accountability in Mary Kay. It's important to check in with your mentor and be accountable because it does support your growth. But you're the only person that can hold yourself accountable. So instead of asking, how can I hold you accountable, how do you plan on holding yourself accountable? Let her take more ownership. How will you feel when you reach this goal? What motivates you to work when you don't feel like it? You want to dig deep to reveal weaknesses, challenges, and fears. And try to, look for that red flag. Not that you're looking for the negative, but look for that one thing that might be holding her back and coach her on that. And questions should always come from a place of we're in this together, not from a place of judgment. I think sometimes maybe in the heat of the moment or when we're frustrated with consultants or directors, it might be a little condescending tone. And we never want to be condescending, okay? It always comes from a place of we're in this together. Okay, so to the last topic I want to talk about, now that we've talked about coaching, I want to just give you some practical ideas of things I do in my business and in my unit to recognize reds and help them to move up the career path. And then we're going to finish with an action plan after that. Okay, so it's raining red. Love that promotion. Love that it's 4 months long, and I love that it's in the final 4, and I think it's a great promotion to work on, but you want to be like all over it. Like all over it, like a duck on dough, all over it. And a way to be all over it is I would create a weekly email that has pictures of the promotion and describes the promotion, but start sending it right now weekly, even bi-weekly, and recognize the activity first. Okay, sometimes we'll send the email out when somebody's done it. No, we got to send it out to, first of all, remind them about it and recognize the activity. So Susie Q did 2 interviews this week, so-and-so had 5 guests at our meeting. So you're recognizing the activity, even though the accomplishment hasn't happened, you're recognizing who's on track for it. And then when they start recruiting, and my iPad just died with all my notes on it, but that's okay. Then when they start recruiting, that's okay. Yeah, I think I got it. Then you recognize the recruits that are coming in, regardless of whether they're qualified or not. So-and-so got a new recruit. And then you recognize as the qualifieds roll in, you're recognizing who got qualified. So weekly email, at the end of the month, you put that email in your newsletter. You, of course, recognize it at your meeting, but recognize the activity first. Stand up if you've done interviews, and then do standing recognition for who's doing the activity. I will often print the flyer and write a note on it. Or a tracking sheet, write the note on it and mail it to them. But just be all over this raining red promotion and just talk it up. Also, they should see reds everywhere they look. Pictures on the website, pictures in the newsletter. At the meeting, we have a head table for our red jackets. And even if it's just a few, recognize them and have them come up. If you don't have any reds or you have dead reds, start talking about who's going to be the class of 2013 Charter Red Jackets. Who are going to be the Charter Red Jackets in our unit for 2013 that we're going to take to seminar. So don't feel like you have to wait to have reds to start recognizing red jackets. One thing that we do at our meeting is once a month we'll recognize who moved up, but we'll honor all reds. So we have roses sitting in each name tags there. So all reds are honored. Then the reds who moved up get to come up and speak a little bit. And then I got this idea from Jessica Anderson, who's in this room, I believe. Yes, Jessica, thank you for this idea. She was at our meeting. She's got some people who go to my meeting, and so she came to recognize them and affirm them. She had a note card or a little postcard for them and had written out affirmations and a little note to them, and she read it to them at the meeting. And it was so powerful and so sweet, and everybody was so touched by that. And so I've started doing that. When I want to affirm them, I'll write it out. Because sometimes in the moment, you kind of forget what you want to say about them. And so I'll write it out and read it to them, and that is so, so powerful. And a little mini lesson on affirming, you always want to affirm people for who they are, for the person that they are. Never performance related or achievement related. And of course, we're always going to celebrate that. That's natural. But affirm them for who they are. Sometimes we get caught into this meaningless praise. You're awesome, you're wonderful, I'm so proud of you. We're just throwing these things out that, yeah, they feel good, but it's not a whole lot of, they don't feel super affirmed for who they are, or we recognize them for their performance, or what we want them to do. I know you're going to be in DIQ next month. Well, no you don't. You don't really know that. And when she doesn't do it, she doesn't come back to the meeting because she didn't perform. But when she's affirmed for who she is, she comes back regardless of performance because she's just affirmed for who she is. I created this prayer journal for my area that has a picture of my directors, a black and white picture of each of them. They each have a page in this journal, and then I list the names of key people in my unit and in my area, and I write qualities by their face or by their name. I try to think of a couple, 2 or 3 qualities of what I love the most about them, and I'll write those down. And I think about them in their best, in the best light, and in their best way, and I look for the best in them. This is especially important for people who are hard to love, and it's hard to find the good in them. You want to think about them in their best light, write those qualities down so when it comes time to affirm them, and maybe sometimes it's on the spot, it comes out of your heart because you've spent time thinking about them at their very best. So I write these qualities, and each day I'll go through and I'll pray, pray for my directors and think through these qualities. And so my emotional connection to my people is not based on their performance. And I always pray that they would know in their bones that I love them regardless of what they do or do not do in Mary Kay. And if they leave, that's okay. We still have a relationship with them. And I think that's so important to affirm them for who they are. And what else did I want to say about this? Oh, another point I wanted to make now that I don't have my notes is that my people cannot disappoint me. My people cannot disappoint me. And I want you guys to be able to say that about every single unit member and director you have in your unit or in your area. Because people are in Mary Kay for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And if it's about disappointing me, first of all, it's not about me. Secondly, if you want to live on a roller coaster of emotional instability, do that. Have your emotions based on their performance. It's got to be based on who they are, and they've got to feel that from you. So I'm going to close up with an action plan for you guys to wrap up with, and I think we might have a couple minutes for questions. So your homework or your action plan is to go home and have dangerous conversations. Have dangerous, risky conversations that produce movement in your unit. And what I'll do after a big event is I will, Saturday or Sunday, I text my people who were there that I want to connect with. And usually Monday and Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday after an event, those are coaching days where I'm talking and having conversations with people who are at that event. They're motivated. And I would assume your key people are probably here. And so you want to catch them when they're motivated, because when they're motivated, it's easy for them to get in motion. It's easy for them to pick up the phone and start booking when they're motivated. And when they get in motion, when you have enough of them in motion, it creates momentum, and then the momentum creates a movement. And you want a movement in these next 4 months. In these final 4, you want your people moving up the career path. And so you want to set up a coaching call with them. Give yourself plenty of time to do this, because it often takes longer than you think. And I will often start after an event, I'll start the conversation with, you know what, I want to hear your goals, your dreams, your thoughts, your aha moments. How did you feel? What did you think? Where do you want to start? Okay, so I want to hit on all of that, but I want her to initiate the conversation. I want to hear this and this and this and this and this. Where do you want to start? You let her start the conversation with what she took away from career conference, and then you're going to guide that conversation